Sumathi for the K community. On behalf of the community, we welcome to you for this session, session. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And it's my proud privilege to introduce Dr. Sumathi Narayanan. Okay. On a personal note, I know Dr. Sumathi from 1998, a student in IIT. 98 Sarang, I still remember, she came as an expert in transaction analysis. She was taking a workshop for students there in IIT. So that's when since 98 I know her, so it's about to become a family friend now. So it's I've been asking her over a period of 3-4 years, can you come over to K community and share your experience on transaction analysis, TA, which we call short. And but then she told that 45 minutes is too short a time for teaching anything about TA at all. You can't even scratch the surface. So she told that probably we should have a 2-hour workshop. Maybe at least we can do some justice. So, but then we had a conversation with Navaratri when she came home. Then she told this is one topic maybe you can think of, the art of forgiveness. Then it really jumped on and said it's really interesting because this is what most of us don't know. Okay, let me get into the formal introduction of Dr. Sumathi. So she's currently the Director, Creative Communication and Management Center in Chennai, CCMC, and she's done a doctorate in Human Development at the Department of Psychology, University of Madras here, and she's a certified NLP practitioner and a TA trainer, transactional trainer, and conducted a lot of workshops in NLP and TA, and she's conducted a lot of workshops on several topics including communication and speaking effectiveness, reading and memory efficiency, interpersonal relationship, transaction analysis, personal effectiveness and change management for a lot of leading corporates and educational institutions over India and abroad. And she is member of several associations and presented papers in conferences and journals. And she's also been featured in a lot of television channels, the Doordarshan, Jaya TV, Podige, Sun TV, and so on. And I remember seeing in TV, coming for some counseling kind of sessions, TV. And personally, Dr. Sumathi is a very ardent learner, and she strongly believes that each one of us has the power within ourselves to change ourselves, our outlook in the and the most interesting aspect of Dr. Sumathi is that whatever she trains and teaches, she has internalized herself personally in her life and practices that. And she's a family person. And Dr. Sumathi, over to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. The last 1 hour, Sudhir kept us very humorous, and this is going to be a different kind of a sharing. This is a subject which all of us would like to know more, and very easily we say it is easily said than done. And I think it's very important to do those important things in life which, even though it may be difficult, it needs to be done. And I learned the hard way about the art of forgiveness, and then I said, let me share this. Each of us sitting here have had moments when we wish that we are able to forget some things that people have done to us, or countries can forget what they have done to each other, and that just doesn't happen. So here is this evening where I would like to share some thoughts about forgiveness, which we know it's nothing new. In fact, Mr. Rao asked me, are you going to say something religious? And I said, I will steer clear of religion as much as possible, because all the religions say the same thing, which is learn to forgive. Forgiveness is not something we do for the other people, we do it for ourselves to get well and move on. This is something that many of us miss. Because whenever we say, why don't you forgive him? I'm a counselor. I interact with people to help them handle the difficult parts of their life. And they say, how can we ever forgive? It just cannot be done. So I've also seen that families, big or small, fight and they don't know how to make up. Because in the process of fighting, they have done things to each other which are hurtful. And so they just get into the deeper and deeper part of the pain, and they are just not able to come out of it. But this is the first message I would like to give. It is not for others, it is for our own self. My standing here, is it hiding because I am not transparent? How about you, Mr. Ramaswamy? This is piri piri, the background flowers that I have used. It is supposed to be the essence of forgiveness, technically, and so I use this as the background. Let's start, where does it begin from? It begins always with a bad experience. Somebody has a bad experience which they can choose to either accept and ignore or get angry, react. So when we react, it leads to either anger or revenge. And sometimes I may be repeating what I am saying to reinforce some of the things that are very important. So we are refusing to forgive by holding on to hurt, anger, resentment and sense of betrayal. So this is what leads to the situation where we are unable to forgive. And the heart bleeds. Even though the heart bleeds, we still will not do anything to change the situation. These are 4 things you need to watch. If you catch yourself operating from any one of those zones, complaining, resentment, reactivity, grievance. Like the dialogue would start with something like this. You know what he did to me? Somebody starts, and people love to complain about others. And people also would love to listen to what is called as the gossip. Never bother about what I felt. He's just indifferent. Or if you catch yourself saying, I dislike or hate, I don't like what you're doing, or I wish you were not born. Why did I give birth to you? Instead of giving birth to you, I should have given birth to a coconut, whatever, shell, not shell, the sapling. This is the problem when happens translation. How can a human being give birth to a tennambille? I don't know. Technically, it's impossible. And then, very powerfully. Very powerfully. And how dare you do this, reacting, this, what do you think of yourself? You're selfish, insensitive. I'll teach you a lesson. And till I die, I'll never forget. I'll destroy whatever that man has done. I'll make sure. All the Tamil serials use these 4 things as the themes. And not only Tamil serials, all Ekta Kapoor serials, or we can say, or many others. Huh? The K series and whatnot. So, and I ask women who see this, and they say they're exactly showing us what's happening in our lives. So people get hurt. And people with past pain become bitter and hurt self and others. They hold grudge for pains due to their own misguided thoughts, expectations, or unwillingness to take ownership of their own mistakes. When something goes wrong, it is never one-sided. I can see the other person doing a mistake, but I am blind to my own mistakes. And I believe my mistakes are not as bad as theirs. But look at him ask the other person, he will say, you think you're one Mahan? You think you never did anything? And then have unrealistic expectations of other people. People will make mistakes. That is being human. And that is why forgiveness is next to no. Forgiveness is being humane. We forget that. We put it up there. It's godliness. I'm not Mahan. I cannot. We don't have to be Mahan. We just have to be basic human being to understand. I do mistakes in some places. The other person did mistakes unfortunately with me. That's all. So they carry a very heavy heart. When you carry a heavy heart, what happens to the body? It shows. Not in a comic way of the middle becoming bigger, but then inviting a lot of problems in life, health-wise. The cause for this is we see the world through our ego. The entire world we see through our ego. All our interpretations, everything is, the basis is ego. If you scratch a little bit on the surface and ask, it is the ego that is hurt. And that's natural because all of us have ego. So when we look at our own ego and thoughts, use a bit of observing outward, bring in an awareness and say, this is the situation, here is my anger about it, this is what I feel, and realize that there are other ways of handling it. If something has gone wrong, anger is not the only way of handling that situation. The minute we become aware, the ego starts dissolving and we realize, is it worth fighting so much? That realization is something some people get outside the ICU. Either they are the cause of it or the victim of it. I've seen people stand outside the ICU and say, I never said sorry to him, whole life I fought, father and son, usual stuff, And if only I had told him, though I fought with him, I love him. And then, what's the use? I have also seen some sons say, he's been dragging for 3 days, you want him to go, I'll just go in, the minute he sees me, he'll pump. Then our job will be over. Shall I do that? That also I have seen outside the ICU. So what have people done in their own life to invite that point in life? So just an awareness. I'm angry about something. It's very natural to be angry, but we need not stay angry. We need not sleep angry. We need not carry it over to the next generation. See, remember, never trust their family. Like legacy, people leave enmity also from one generation to another. I'm sure you have seen this around you. I don't know. So to understand everything is to forgive everything. To understand itself. Now I understand why that person did it. Even though what he has done is wrong. Understanding itself will lift the anger out. So in life, when we boiling water, if you put an egg, the hard egg becomes soft inside. The hard shell also becomes softer. The carrot which is hard becomes soft. The coffee which we put into the water changes the flavor of the water. So in life, situations and events and experiences and perceptions make people softer, harder or transformed. So when an event happens, we can either become hard about it, or we can feel victimized, or we can choose to make that the most transforming incident in our life and transcend it. Now that is within our capacity. That is why we have been given something called an intellect with a heart. Are you with me so far? Right. And so forgiveness is typically defined as the process of concluding resentment, indignation or anger as a result of a perceived offense, difference or mistake, and or ceasing to demand punishment or restitution. When I talk to people about this in my workshops in various degrees depending upon what the workshop is, I always include this because once, even in an organization for example, there are some people who take away other people's projects or take credit for what they have, somebody else has done. In educational sector there is plagiarism, like people just take our work and then publish it as their own. In fact, there was one instance where somebody had taken a whole paper and submitted it as their own, and that went for correction to the person who originally wrote it.
Sometimes along with the author's name.
And he wrote back to the university saying, do something serious about this man. So that's the world we are living in. This is at the work level, but it doesn't hurt there as much because you can change your company, change your position, change your location. It happens inside the family, it's really hurting. That's tougher because we cannot walk away and take another family. We cannot say, okay, from today onwards I divorce you as my mother or father or sister or brother, because divorce laws are only between husband and wife. Need not be of the same gender anyway nowadays. So the conclusion of that, conclusion of resentment, indignation or anger. If any of us harbor this, let this evening be dedicated to that person, whoever is listening. Forgiveness is the highest form of love. Very difficult, but possible. And if it is done once, you get a sample of it. It's like you get a taste of it, what it is to forgive a little bit. Then you will realize you can always take that route out whenever people are rude, whenever people are hurting, whenever people are damaging, whenever people are destructive towards us. We take away their power. So forgiveness is an act of imagination. Dare to imagine a better future. Because once they have the feeling of victimization comes, they can never get out. You know what happened to me? And then the story starts. Can never, and it will be like a sob story, again and again told, all the scenes, and each time we tell them, we add some more spice to it, because it is like you log in and then you open many programs like your chatting, Twitter, etc. Like that, every day morning we get up and then remind, you know what he did to me? I'll never forgive him. I remember 27 years, 3 months and 15 days back, you said this to me in this particular hall in front of 45 different people. Reference to context. Now see that it goes to the next Janmam also. That is the reason why we need to, why do we have to carry this there? Your hurt will not be the final word in the matter. Once you've got hurt, that's it. After that, we cannot change that. That's not true. And Next thing is, it challenges you to give up destructive negative thoughts about the situation and to believe in the possibility of a better future. My life is ruined because I remember a participant in my class, and I'm quoting him. He wouldn't talk for 2.5 days, 3 days workshop. It intrigues me. Like, he doesn't say anything, he doesn't nod. He's like a statue listening, and got into chatting a little bit with him with a cup of tea, and I said, something is bothering you, I can see. You need not tell me what it is, but I would like you to open up and say, because the communication workshop. And he said, if I start, I won't stop. I said, I don't mind that, but it is not something that you would like to listen. And right now my father is in the ICU. Then I said, if your father is in the ICU, what are you doing here? He said, I better be here, because if I'm there, I will do something to him to make him go faster. Then I said, okay. Then he's told me his story of how an abusive person he is. Alcoholism was a problem, and he's hurt his family so much. As a child, as watching his mother get hurt, he has sacks of pain, and I can't even think of telling him to forgive. He has a long way to go to heal. But then when these are things happening, these are things that are happening, and many of us shut our eye unless it's somebody close to us. And even if it is, what can we do? Each of us own separate minds. We can't even tell our own life partner to forgive somebody. The only choice we have is we forgive. Just like in a basket of apples, if there is a rotten one, what would we do? Imagine carrying a rotten one in your pocket. It will stink. It will spoil your dress. People won't feel like coming closer to us because we have something that is stinking. It is spreading. So if we have a rotten thought in our mind, unless we let go of the negative thoughts and emotions and discover inner peace, joys and happiness. So just like the apple we throw, we need to take these, select, and then be sensible to throw. Because in life, 100 things happen. 1 or 2 have become bad, terrible. We don't have to remember to choose that. We choose to remember that. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. I would agree, because not because he said it, but because he also said it. The thing is, people say, if you forgive, they will think you're weak and they will hurt you again. No, when you forgive, something in them will melt, which has been hardened. Like, they think they can get away with it. I taught him, I put him in his place. And then this person is thinking, if I forgive, then he will go on again. But once you forgive and see, no, he is also a human being. This is his way of coping with the situation, or her way of coping with the situation. But then once you get a sample of, once you've done it, you are free. What it happens, the other person is that person's problem. Your mind is free. Your mind, imagine in this computer, if the hard disk is full of virus, cannot function. Why full of virus? One virus can be devastating for the functioning of that computer. This is designed copy, bad copy of the human being. So one bad thing that we hold on, which we don't forgive, which makes us angry, can corrupt our mind, that we cannot see joy in life. We cannot see hope in life. So we need to come, there are 2 to 3 time zones, I'm sure you know that. What is important is come to the present moment. Okay, that's over. We cannot undo. We used to say we cannot put the paste back into the tube, but today's tubes are such that we can't put them back. So that code doesn't work. We cannot undo something that is already done. We cannot erase the memory. But what we can do is, forgiveness allows us to let go of the pain on the memory, and if we let go of the pain in the memory, we can have the memory, but it does not control us. When memory controls us, we are then the puppets of the past. Just to give an instance, if you catch yourself saying, if I think of that itself, my blood boils. Okay, look at this one statement. If I think, that means imagination. The person is not dead. The person may be even dead. Physically, they are dead and gone. But still, the minute I think of that person, my blood boils today. That means we allow the past to control. What happens today? That person is gone, physically in another city or another world, but our blood boils here. And because of that, what happens? We get a series of blood pressure, ulcer, diabetes, hypertension, sensitive stomach, etc., etc., etc. Louise Hay, one of the great authors I admire, has written an entire book called You Can Heal Your Life, and in that she says, she's tabulated, if you have a problem, what could be a psychological or emotional cause for it, and what can you say in order to change that? Because 100 times the person says, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, I'm a victim, the chemistry in the body, the physiology of the body changes, the person becomes a physical basket case. So it's very important to realize forgiving releases the negative energy from our body so that we are free. Forgiveness in the moment when I choose to forgive that which is before me in the moment. I send a wave of loving influence throughout my world, and that makes us strong. That makes us way above everyone. Not for competition or comparison. We don't have to be stronger than somebody, but we are just relieved. We are lighter. We are floating. We don't have any garbage carrying. Forgiveness is not forgivingness. An offense does not mean you condone it. It doesn't mean you tolerate it or accept it, etc. Forgiving does not mean that you have to reconcile with someone who badly treated you. This has nothing to do with the other person. It does not depend on whether the other person apologizes or changes his or her behavior. Now they will say, the usual line is, let him change, I will change. Like in the film Narayanan, he says, no, let them all stop, then I will stop. That Narayanan dialogue. So, it doesn't start that. It is our life, and if someone dictates, if someone has power to hurt us, even after so many years, we are not leading an intelligent life. Why are we getting educated? Why are we getting exposed to many things? What is the use of going global if you cannot be local within your own heart? It's a punchline, no? Go global but work local. Okay, I'm saying this local, not even the other people local. Inside. And so forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. These are very beautiful lines. Very rhetorical and very beautiful, because when you look at the violet, it's so tiny, so tender, so soft. What can the beautiful violet do when somebody is crushing it by mistake also? Still it will leave a fragrance. So what happens? Let's see what happens when we choose to forgive and we do not. Pro self-thinking when we choose to forgive, anti other thinking. We cannot, I don't want to talk. And the problem is, the more powerful the person is, both are powerful, they will have a set of people who have to be enemies with this person. And this person will have a set of people who will have to be enemies with that person. Like if they are found to be working or talking to each other, then you are not in my camp. So anti-other thinking becomes the predominant way of thinking. In forgiving, we buy time, whereas in not forgiving, we waste time. Let's say, so how is your relationship with your brother nowadays? Why do you ask? I was wondering, this Diwali and all came. Did he call you? Did he wish you? No, he never. Did you? Why should I? Our festivals are reopening chapters for all the wounds and the heels, and who will call first? He never bothered, so why I should? So then waste time half an hour, and the other person says, yeah, I thought Asma, the brothers can't, And then his job is done, he goes, and this person rethinks, see what all he did, and then he'll go back and tell his wife, see, this Diwali also I am elder, he never called me back, etc. Full stop. Forgiveness puts a full stop to an issue, whereas do not forgive, full of commas. Because that issue will take, then one more event will be added. It is like the latest, what do you call that in update? Isn't it an update? Status update. What is your status update? One more hurt. One more injury. And then we will quote Thiruvalluvar and say, Theenal chuttapun ullarum arade navinal chuttavadu, meaning like we'll never let the vadu heal. But I'm saying you can, if you can address it. Then ending an unwanted situation here, extending an unwanted situation to infinity, like Janmam. Okay? Yeah. He's not a cat. Only a cat has 8 lives. He's a human, so he has to have double, no? Maintain positive thinking when we forgive, because we do not waste time thinking on the negative, and whereas people who don't forgive create negativity. The spirit of cooperation is there when we forgive, but whereas here it creates mistrust, good health on this side and health suffers. Here I would like to quote some people I know. The minute they get a serious problem, I probe, and that has had an emotional in some situation. In fact, you go to cardiologist, the first question they'll ask, what is the stress you have? I remember, I like to quote my mother, very buoyant and very lively lady. Years back, when my brother was a teenager, I have a younger brother, unfortunately he hasn't come, but my sister-in-law has come with me today. When he was a teenager, for a teenager, having a moustache is a, you know what it is, I don't have to tell you. You know, growing a moustache is a sign of what? Manhood? Tell me please. In those days, this triangular, square, rectangular were not there, just moustache he wanted. My mother didn't want, she felt in our family nobody does. And he said, no, you've got both your daughters married to guys who have moustache, so why do you object to me? and then he said, and then she said, that I don't have a choice, but with you I have a choice. And they had fighting, he ended up having a problem. She had an anginal attack and we went to the doctor, and the doctor asked first question, so what is the tension you've had? And then she said, no tension, doctor. I said, no, doctor, she has had tension. He said, what? I told him what happened. And he sat, put the stethoscope down, put all the equipment down and sat and laughed for 5 minutes. See the impact that the stress can have. We may think it is just a small thing, but if someone takes it to their heart, their health suffers with varying degrees. It starts with the skin, ends with the heart, and of course the brain. The more serious the intake is, the more we are unable to forgive, deeper is the hurt. And if it doesn't do that to the body, the mind will go broken. It's easier to heal the body than when the mind is broken. Today, as a counselor, I can tell you, people tell me, they don't want to come to a counselor. What are you? I'm a friend. Please tell the person, I'm a friend, I'm a known auntie, bring them. Because society still doesn't look at people in a, I have a problem, I have fever, I immediately go to the doctor. But in the case of the mind, I am having tension. If I seek help, then I'm not okay. So there is a barrier there. But if the body, if the mind does not push the additional stress to the body, the mind will break. And that's more dangerous to heal. And so, and in fact, it says, it takes 3 generations to create one schizophrenia. No. When we look at it, that means the pattern hasn't changed. Here we are looking at pattern changing and save ourselves. And then healing the society, because if in our society, for example, the persons who are strong are portrayed as heroes. People who are even so someone who breaks the law is portrayed as people who are aggressive are heroes. So in our society, we do not have the politeness to even wait for somebody to move their car. They're reversing, then they have to shift their gears and then reverse. Before he can do that movement, look at the aggression on the road. They just cannot. And like one girl did this. She was trying to start her car and it didn't start. The guy behind, After a while, after 1 minute of that, he was even more impatient. He kept his hand on the horn and then he wouldn't remove it. So she got down from the car and she came and she said, I can do that. Can you go start my car? By then he has already thought, woman driver, she doesn't know how to drive. All the stereotyping comes, So, I don't know. That is not part of the story. If he did, then the second part will be they will meet some other and then they will Twitter and then they will meet and then the story will go. That's how it started, Gopal. That is how it started. Yeah. What happens in the case when we don't forgive is undesirable thoughts and behavior. Just imagine when the mouth is shut, the computer is on, the kind of thoughts it generates, many of them are negative, especially towards others and sometimes to ourselves. The most difficult thing to forgive is ourselves. We may be generous to forgive others, but we won't forgive ourselves. That's a problem some people have. So they will go on killing themselves in doses. I call this a silent killing. They say diabetes is a silent killer. But this is a bigger killer because silently the person is spewing poison in their body, sitting and fuming. Watch people. Many of them don't smile when they walk. Why? Because they're thinking of all the rotten things that happen to them during the day. So evening the traffic is very, very violent because of all the bruises they carry during the day. That is why the society needs. Now, I don't have to explain to you that. I believe the amount of tension an average executive goes through in a corporate world is 20 times. It's like facing 20 tigers a day.
20
Tigers a day.
tigers.
The aggression, tigers, original tiger, endangered tiger, he's come over to corporate world. But I don't know how far that's true because I think there are companies where people work peacefully. And in fact, in one factory which I visited, the supervisors in the factory were told you cannot shout at your workers. And the manager, the factory manager, when he said that, supervisor said, don't expect productivity. And then he said, I'm giving you 1 month's time to learn how to handle them. It was a real learning. And then we're talking about factory where the workers are not very educated. They are skilled, but they're not very educated. So that's where a lot of shouting happens. But I'm very surprised that even in the corporate world, people raise their voices to make a point. It's totally unnecessary. Two intelligent people can talk, like you said, they can differ and not be angry about it. Undoing the one mistake that we did, whereas making mistakes after mistakes if we don't forgive. Because to sustain the status, we need to do that. And go ahead with peace, whereas comes back and haunts. I can't sleep. Why? Because it's coming back and haunting me. We are allowing it. Become better. The last one is we become bitter. The sandalwood perfumes even the axe that hurls it down. We need to think about this. So they have done a study on this, predictors of forgiveness. Is it okay for me to go for 5 more minutes? Okay. 5 max, or after 7:30. I'm making it clear because we started exactly. People who are selfish and apathetic find it more difficult to forgive, whereas people who are selfless and empathetic find it easier to forgive. So the personality is one variable. Another is relationship quality. If you are over benefited, it is difficult, whereas heavily invested means we like to work on the relationship. If it's in an intimate relationship, nature of the transgression, discovery through third party or serious offense makes it difficult, whereas unsolicited partner discovery, like people being open to each other, and trivial offense can actually help. Viewed as intentions and malicious, in the case, if it is viewed as intentional and malicious, I know he did it deliberately. That means it is difficult to forgive, whereas no responsibility or attribution, meaning, okay, I don't hold you responsible, I am responsible. No, I'm not attributing it to you, I am taking responsibility for what happened to me. This is where Ho-oponopono, this is the name of the person, I won't even venture to pronounce it as you can read it. She's the one who started this movement called Ho-oponopono. Do you know what it is? It's an awesome, this is a Hawaiian concept. The word Ho-oponopono means set things right. This was used to heal families. It says that if we can accept that we are the sum total of all past thoughts, emotions, words, deeds and actions, and that our present lives and choices are colored and shaded by this memory bank of the past, then we begin to see how a process of correcting or setting it all right can change our lives, our families and our society. She's the origin, she's supposed to be a living sage. The person who popularized it is Dr. Hew Len. A lot of information is available in the net, but it's very simple to follow, which I'm going to share as we go on. It's so true. This was used to help people heal in a very silent way. So 2 questions. Are you willing to let go the pain in you? Because it affects every part of the body. We are down if we are hurt. Are you willing to forgive? If we are, just a few steps. Number 1, close your eyes, set a stage. I wish we could do it, but it is something you can do on your own tonight. See the person you resent. Look at him or her clearly. See good things happening to them. See them happy and smiling. At this point, I need to say, we say this, he won't even die dignified. This is a curse we do on others. When we curse somebody else, the original is inside. Only the copy goes out. the thought of doing that to that person, one image is created, is retained. Only the thought is sent out. So we hurt ourselves in the process. That is why it is very important to first see them happy. We would have had some moments with them which are positive, or they would have had some moments which are happy with others, if not with us. So look at them happy and smiling, and then repeat the same thing with yourself, happy and smiling. If I cannot visualize myself happy and smiling, I cannot change my behavior. And the second one is, do this. This is to be done in pairs. It's a very powerful exercise. Make a list of things or that people have done. So and so, A has cheated me, B told me a lie, C spoke behind my back so much that I lost my job because of that. Like that we will have a grouse list. Prepare that. Then call a friend who is compassionate, who is understanding, who will do what you ask them to do. And then that person is a representative of that list. And then tell them, the person I need to forgive is, and then name the person, and then tell the person opposite to you, and I forgive you, that person, for doing this to me. You please forgive me and release me. And thank you. And the person says, I release you. Say, thank you and I set you free. This is a process. You might say, by saying it to the person who has not done it, how will it be helpful? But when you do it, something happens in your body which I cannot describe. It is like when we are very hungry and we eat something, an energy flows, no? Beautifully, like that. It will be so light and so full of energy. 3 is search for injustice you carry and let them go. We may also carry injustice and say, yeah, I've been unfair to that person, and then say, okay, I forgive myself for that. And step 4 is I forgive myself for that. Now make a list of things that you have done to others, knowingly or unknowingly. We have a prayer in our house which ends with Tirindum Teriyamalum Seda Kutratte Mannitthirulvayaga. Whatever mistakes I have done, which knowingly or unknowingly, please forgive. We tell those pictures here as a Hindu or in any other religion, but actually we are telling ourselves, okay, I've done a mistake, forgive me, I forgive myself, and then forgive others. If we cannot forgive ourselves, it's very difficult to forgive the others, and that can be an excuse not to forgive. Steps 5, visualization of self as a child is a very powerful one. Go back in time and visualize yourself as a child. Give lots of love. Hold the child close to your heart and take it inside your heart. Like imagine you're holding you would have seen your baby photos, no? At least one. Visualize that child and you're holding your own, that form of the child. It's an imagination, but it's powerful. Then repeat with your mother as a child, meaning your mother is holding you as a child, your father is holding you as a child, and then kuchikuing you and saying all nice words, I love you, you're my life, etc., etc. Whether they have said it or not, go and ask them. Okay, like I read it in a book which is preparing young mothers for new motherhood. The first line it said is, everybody would have told you that becoming a mother is the most glorious experience, etc., and all that. Welcome to the world of being a mother. Forget about sleeping, eating, doing personal things, and forget about many things. It's going to be a tough life ahead, and then welcome to the world of motherhood. This is how the introduction starts. It's very true. People never tell after you get married how many evenings you will not be able to go free because you're married. No? Imagine before getting married, somebody says every evening you have to go home. You have to tell your wife where you're going, otherwise it's a problem. Many people won't get married. That's all comes afterwards. Similarly, when a lady is pregnant, everybody showers affection on her and tells her it's lovely to be a mother and all that, and then it starts. And you say, oh, we all did this after she was born. I can't even sleep. That's true. Welcome. This is to say, when we experience the love from our parents in our mind, healing happens at a different level. It's all in our mind. Whether anybody tells or not, we need to do it for ourselves. And let all the 3 love each other in your heart. See, a lot of families I know have problems with their parents. So the parents move away physically, don't want to connect, and then they wait. Every time it's a wait and watch game. Is he calling? It's 5 days since he called. When he called, he didn't ask me that I took my medicines or not. So they have a big complaint list. Then we wonder, how did these parents really say that they love me? I doubt it. But then the truth is, parents can love us the way they have understood, the way they have been able to. And we need to love them for what they can, and not blame them for what they could have. It's like saying, if you could have been more loving, I would have been. So you should have actually, you should have, could have, would have are the 3 bad words in the world. It's more dangerous than the 4-letter words you talk about. So whenever somebody says, you know, you could have called, if I could have called, I would have called. No. You should have loved me more. How do you know I did not love you? I don't see anything. The way you wanted it, maybe I did not. But this could have, should have. An ordinary conversation. It's a waste of time. You should have actually done this. You shouldn't have. This. It's a real waste. So let all three love each other in your heart, and if you do that, then you will be a better parent. If the child in you is taken care of, you become a better parent to your own children when you are married, if you are married, when you are married. Okay. So heal yourself with Ho-oponopono. It's a very simple step, 3 steps, by recognizing that whatever comes to you is your creation, the outcome of bad memories and buried in your mind. The point here is, I am responsible for the pain I am creating, so I need to forgive for my own self. The other person may be aware, may not be aware, may not even be willing. And if you go and tell him, I forgive you, he will say, who the hell are you to forgive me? So this whole exercise is not about talking to the other person, other party, that I forgive you or you forgive me. If you go and ask him, forgive me, yeah, power fall. Now you know. So, you know, they are not ready for it. So it has nothing to do with the other person. And by regretting whatever errors the body, speech, mind caused by these bad memories, and by requesting divine intelligence within yourself to release those memories and to set you free, and then of course to say thank you. So Dr. Hew Len says, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you to the person you hurt or who hurt you. Say these 4 lines alone, it will work. There is a divine intelligence around us. I like to conclude with just one story. Before we take the forgiveness pledge. I learned about forgiveness from a very personal story, not a personal story, incident. We lost a nephew of mine in an accident. It was a road accident, the other driver was totally responsible. But when it came to the court, this was outside this country, when it came to the court, the mother of the child forgave the man who was responsible, which altered his punishment. And he was deported. But he didn't live in the jail outside the country. I asked her how you could do it. And then she said, it was a mistake, it was an accident. He has designed it, he used him as an instrument. Why punish the instrument when the designer is sitting somewhere else? So that day I realized, if a mother can forgive the man responsible for the child's loss, what are we holding on to? All imaginary grosses. And then I redefined, I realized it's so important to forgive, because then she said this word, at least now I'll be free of the thought that he is in a jail. Now he may go back to his family, and his family, those children will not have a label, the father was jailed. The children will have the father in the country. That's the max that I could have done there. So then, and this is a young mother, I am not talking about someone who is old and mature, I am talking about a young mother. And I said, that day I decided, this is what is life. And what are we holding on to? So it's worth taking this pledge. I affirm that forgiveness is an important part of, you're welcome to read with me. Forgiveness is an important part of my life. I will do my best to forgive people from my family of origin. I'll be a conduit of forgiveness in my family. I'll forgive in the workplace and do my best to create a forgiving atmosphere. I will encourage forgiveness in my place of worship so that it is a forgiving community. I will do my best to plant and promote forgiveness in my wider community. I commit to living the forgiving life. And now go ahead and save yourself. Practice forgiveness. Thank you. Any questions? Not bad.
What's the difference between forgiving and ignoring? Is it something like
Ignoring is like, if you take a piece of something and then it gets stuck here, what would you do? Either you have to spit it out or swallow.
if I can't just
Otherwise it will choke. So the ignoring is like tolerating. You know it is there, but you are pretending it is not there. In your mind you know it is there. So it will bother you. Might as well get it over with, no? You can choose, if you ignore the person, one more file will be added. See, I went for the wedding and he talked to everybody else, but he did not talk to me. I know of a relative who was angry with me because I didn't attend some function. So I came right in front of her and she turned her face and went. All the others said, what's between the two of you? I said, I don't know. I was unable to attend her son's whatever function, and I was about to explain to her, she turned her face and she went. And then she didn't talk to me the whole function, she talked to everybody else about me, how arrogant I am, how indifferent I was, blah, 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 blah. And all of them came promptly and told me what all she said. So I didn't ignore, she ignored me, and that created problem for her. You have to put energy to ignore, no? For example, what is ignoring? Something is, a stimulus is coming and I have to ignore, which means I have to put energy to block that. To think it is not there is more stressful and straining than to look at it and say, okay, let's get it over with. So ignoring people is the best way of punishing them. Punishing them. Which is a strain on you. You have to put in effort to ignore. How long can you ignore if it is your family member? I know there are families, father and daughter fight, mother is the middle person. Tell your husband that I will be coming only by 9 o'clock. Husband, wife and child are in the same room. And the husband says, tell your daughter that this is not one chatram or one public place for her to come and go as she wants. If she says 9, she has to be there, tell her that. And the wife is, okay, both of you finished? May I go now? So like doctor in, doctor out, for 3 months they won't talk to each other. Are they ignoring each other?
In your observation, day by day, are you moving towards that ideal world or are you moving far away from that ideal world?
Is it what you choose to look at?
I'm looking at from your own observation of...
My own observation is people want to be better, people want to be happier, people want to be richer. People are not aware what is the price they are paying for all those successes, which is personal time, taking care of relationships. That is not happening, but they know they need to do it. See, that they know they need to do it, one day or the other they will move.
I can't do it, as you mentioned, I'm not that one.
No, they say, I'm hurt, I don't want, why are we like this? They would say that their children will, like in one of our families, one guy said, I don't want anybody to invite any of our relatives because none of you can talk civilly to each other. My marriage will become a battleground and I don't want that. So I'll have a registered marriage. Those of you are interested, come to the registrar office. There you won't have space to fight.
So in a society,
So I would say this. We are moving towards better awareness. We are moving towards better society. We are realizing what is a mistake that we are doing.
you have to go in one circle. You have to go and get hurt and then...
All of us are hurt, yeah. Whether we choose or not, we get hurt. All of us sitting here and viewing this, we are all hurt at some point or the other. None of us are in the ideal world. Because even if we change, other people haven't changed. So we need to protect ourselves from further injury and take care of the old injury. And so be here and say, okay, what is the old file that's coming? Is it necessary? No. Delete it. What a beautiful system they have. Delete a file. Don't rename it. Delete it. So it is possible. I'm a rose-tinted glass optimist. I never give up. And I think we have hope. And today you want to know something, you just have to click. In my morning prayers I say, early morning you get up and you say, what do you say? Karagre vasate Lakshmi, Karamadde Saraswati, Karamule Sita Gauri, Govindaya Namoho, or Karamadde Prabhate Karadarshanam. And then I say Googlaya Namaha. Because whatever you want to know, for giving you have 1,000 quotes. Everything is there. It's become like the universal consciousness. We have a wonderful thing which says, don't do it. You have research data, you presented graphs, you have graphs about what emotion creates what and health problem. How many people have cardiovascular problems? How do people 30 plus get cardiovascular problems? Please tell me. Unless they have led a life which is totally stressful. So now a lot of awareness is coming in. Companies are investing in the health of their employees. They have a gym. Only 1% of the population goes there is a different fact. But what can organizations do? They say, okay, we'll give you a gym, come and do exercise. That's up to you. So they put them into health problems. BEL in Bangalore, for example, they changed their afternoon snack from bhaji bonda, it's bagheera, to ragi balls and steamed korkatais and things like that, because they realized they were losing 40 plus young men to cardiac problems because of one of the factors is oily things. So let's cut the oil thing in the afternoon. So let's make it a healthy meal. So companies are doing it. Organizations are very sensitive to the health needs of their employees, and they are providing whatever they can in terms of facilities. I am seeing a good trend there too. But it's up to the individuals to change. So it is possible. So if this evening is worth it, each of you delete one file tonight. One file, and then you will sample it. Then you become addicted to it. Arey, yo kar diya, forgive man. Today one fellow didn't deliver something he is supposed to deliver. And I went to the shop, I said, I cannot waste my time. If he is interested in the future business, ask him to deliver it at home. And I came home. It's the first time I'm going to that shop. And then on the way back, I said, I'm sorry, please forgive. I love you, thank you, to that tailor. Half an hour later, he brought the things. So for that half an hour, I didn't fret and fume, he didn't do it these days, these people are like this, blah, 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 blah. We will add on files. Even that tailor was like that, and tailors are like that, tailors, cobblers, and who else? They always deliver late. So then I saved my half an hour and I got my whatever delivery I wanted to be done, it was done. I mean, it makes life lighter. So you have space and time to see, this is beautiful Rose, this is my child telling me the story of what happened to her LKG class today and who pulled her hair. Very important. I'm telling Appa, you know what happened? This boy pulled my hair. Pulling hair, we have done. Come on, go. I don't have time to listen to all these things. And then call the wife and say, take care of all these things. But the child, it's very important that you listen. So you have to be available, your mind has to be free. If it's hijacked by that instrument, then we cannot do anything. Yes.
And the lecturer posed a question, what is the greatest gift that God has given you? He posed the question to the audience, and many of them offered a number of solutions, good health, a good family, a good job, lots of things, and he said no. Ultimately he himself gave the answer, said the biggest gift that God has given us is forgetfulness. Would you equate forgetfulness with forgiveness?
That's a choice. If you want to forget something, you can. You cannot erase the memory technically, but you can. What you will forget is the pain associated with it. I've done my PhD in memory skills, and I can tell you authentically, it is very difficult to erase the neural network. But what is possible is to de-link the emotion with it. So even if the memory is there, it is just a photograph. It doesn't bother you. It doesn't make the blood boil today. So forgetfulness, it is like you hate somebody and that somebody comes right in front of you and say, hello, how are you? That forgetfulness is what they are referring to. To forget your pain is a gift, and forgiving is the tool by which you can forget.
But that also keeps the memory intact, right? The older.
No, there is no need to go back and visit.
Technically, from your...
The pain becomes lesser and lesser, the quality of the image becomes lighter, the impact is lighter. Like how many of us remember how we were beaten up by our parents, if you have got beatings? Do you remember it now, even though it was very painful then? No. Oh yeah. Like that we redefine it and then we feel there I know my father loves me and he has beaten me for a good cause, and though at that time we would have been angry, now we redefine it. So what does that? We forget the pain. We don't forget the fact that we got beaten up. Similarly, the memory the memory is a package, an event. What we experienced as whatever our experience is, the way we see the experience is the package. How we look at that experience. So what happened is there, but the way we look at that experience will change. And that's a gift. As I am saying, just do that tonight. No use coming for K community if you don't apply. Knowledge, no, let me be very strong in this statement. Knowledge does not change anything in our life. Knowing something does not change, but doing changes it forever.
For doing that, in Tamil, Vedatri Maharishi, he has given us one simple slogan. Valga Valamudan. If you say Valga Valamudan to your own enemy, that will transform him. And you will get
True.
So only one sentence, Valga Valamudan, that will really
agreed. That is why in every path of self-realization or what we call as religion, Every leader has said the same thing, every guru has said the same thing, and still we don't learn. We still say, he said it, he said it, he said it. What about you, man? Why don't you do? Because it is not for the others, it is for self. To save ourselves, we need to do this.
Last question.
Yes.
Yeah, one small question I would like to ask. When one does something wrong to someone or hurt someone, is it wrong to just punish them by just ignoring them? Will it be right?
Come again. One.
If one does hurt someone, in turn, the person is just punishing them by just ignoring them, not by doing something wrong. Is that wrong?
No,
By-
if you ignore the act, that is maturity. If you ignore the person, that is punishment.
Okay, is it wrong to punish someone by just ignoring?
Well, you add one more file, that's all. You're delaying the healing. That person did something, so I'm going to not talk to him for 3 days. Worst punishment parents can give the children is, I won't talk to you. Worst punishment. If any of you have young children, please don't ever do it. If they are your children.
Thank you. Thank you.
My child, I love my child, I can do anything. No. You want to punish, you can say what you have done and then teach them what is right. That is what our role as parents are. We are not punishment givers. No? They are also not punishment seekers. Their journey is to make mistakes. Our journey is to forgive them and teach them. And teach them to say, I am sorry. Because if they don't learn in childhood to say sorry, they will never say sorry. Even if they make a mistake. That's a big problem. And if we have done a mistake, it's wonderful to go and say, I realize I made a mistake. Any boss who says, I realize my mistake is admired by everybody. But you can't be repeating the same mistake, then they say that's an idiotic boss who doesn't know when to stop. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, a special thanks to Vijay and Gopal and Mr. Ramaswamy and Divakar. It's a great opportunity for me to share because it takes guts to come and say, please forgive.